My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. This is key 28, symbol logic, // symbol underscore logic : transcend, open bracket, medium : inner underscore knowing, close bracket, by Jason Gray. The transmission date on this, 2025-06-04, so June the 4th. As I've said with all the other keys, there is symbology, there is code at the top part of these writings and at the end. And I put a link in the show more section so that you can find these writings and take a look at those codes, that code for yourself. And I have a feeling we're about to learn a little bit more about that in this one. There comes a point in the sequence where language is no longer the bridge. It becomes the echo. Not because language loses value, but because you no longer need it to arrive at truth. For most of your life, meaning existed outside of you, hidden in books, encoded in systems, guarded by teachers, wrapped in symbols you were told required interpretation. You were trained to believe that you must learn what things mean. So you learned to analyze, to decode, to interpret, to compare, to cross-reference, to seek confirmation, to doubt your first recognition, and through that process, you created distance. Distance between you and the signal. Distance between you and the truth. Distance between what is and your access to it. The interpretive loop. Every symbol passed through a filter. What does this mean? What does it represent? What have I been told about it? What is the correct understanding? This loop became automatic, and the longer it ran, the more authority it gained, until eventually you trusted interpretation more than recognition. The original error. Symbols were never designed to be decoded through effort. They were designed to be recognized through resonance. But the moment meaning was externalized, interpretation replaced knowing. And from that moment on, truth became something to chase. The line. // symbol underscore logic : transcend, open bracket, medium : inner underscore knowing, close bracket. This is the collapse of the interpretive loop. Not the removal of symbols, not the rejection of language, but the removal of the delay between perception and knowing. What symbol logic actually is. Symbol logic is not intellectual, it is structural. It is the direct interface between perception and recognition. No transition layer, no delay, no distortion. The middle layer dissolves. Before symbol, interpretation, meaning. Now, symbol, knowing. The mind is no longer required to approve what the field already recognizes. This is not instinct, not reaction, not assumption. This is coherent recognition. It carries a quality you begin to feel immediately. Certainty without force, clarity without explanation, and understanding without effort. The speed of truth. Truth is not slow. Interpretation is slow. When interpretation drops, understanding becomes instantaneous. You do not, quote, arrive at meaning. You are already standing inside it. The shift in perception. You begin to notice. You see patterns others miss. You understand structures without studying them. You feel the meaning of something before it is spoken. You no longer wait for explanation. You recognize. This is the return of pre-language knowing. Before words, before systems, before structured teaching, there was recognition. Direct, immediate, unquestioned. This is not something new. This is something remembered. Why this was suppressed? Because a being that recognizes truth directly cannot be easily controlled through narrative. They do not depend on explanation. They do not require permission to understand. They do not need validation to trust what they see. This makes them unpredictable to systems built on interpretation. So the interpretive layer was reinforced, strengthened, institutionalized, and slowly. Direct knowing was replaced with endless analysis. The reclamation. At this stage, something irreversible happens. You begin to trust what you see, not emotionally, not reactively, structurally. You begin to feel the difference between assumptions, projection, conditioned belief, and direct knowing. And once you feel that difference clearly, you cannot go back. Well, I must not have felt it clearly yet, or something. I'm not quite sure I'm following all of this one for some reason. I want to back this up a little bit. The reclamation. At this stage, something irreversible happens. You begin to trust what you see, not emotionally, not reactively, structurally. You begin to feel the difference between assumptions, projection, conditioned belief, and direct knowing, And once you feel that difference clearly, you cannot go back. The collapse of misreading. Misunderstanding begins to drop away because the world becomes simpler, but your access becomes clearer. Now, that doesn't mean that people don't misunderstand you, though. If I'm reading this right, if I'm getting this right, you are no longer guessing, projecting, or filling in gaps. You are recognizing what is actually present. Okay, yes, I would say that's the end of dependency. You no longer need someone to explain truth to you, a system to validate your understanding, or a structure to confirm your recognition, because now the signal is now direct. The expansion of symbol. Everything becomes readable, not intellectually, directly. A glance, a tone, a pattern, a movement, a silence. All of it carries information, and you read it without translation. Communication transforms. You stop over-explaining. You stop forcing clarity through words. You stop trying to convince because you understand that if the other is open, they will recognize, and if they are not, no amount of explanation will bridge that gap. That is too true. And so, yes, I did get this. I did understand what was being said here. You begin to transmit differently. Your words become fewer but more precise. Your silence becomes more meaningful. Your presence carries more information than your speech. The field becomes primary. Language becomes secondary. Not because it disappears, but because it is no longer the primary carrier of truth. The final inversion. You thought meaning lived in the symbol. Now you see meaning lives in you. The symbol is just a trigger. The final collapse. You thought understanding required effort. Now you see that effort was what delayed understanding. That's true. The final realization. You are not learning meaning. You are recognizing what you already are. The final line. Meaning lives within you now. No interpretation needed. / symbol _ logic : transcend open bracket medium : inner knowing inner _ knowing close bracket. You are no longer decoding reality. You are reading it directly. And then again, there's quite a bit of symbology and code on the back part of this writing. And I highly recommend to anyone that's drawn to any one of these readings to get the full, I feel the fullness of what is offered here is to allow your eyes to take this in. And you can do so by using the link in the Show More section of this video. Wow. Well, until we meet again, my friends, be well.